Today on Lulz, should you start a 50% owned defense in GPPs plus a little showdown build? We got Browns and Steelers tonight. Let's do it.
Does he think? I
It's
think
not
he
a
thinks
go.
this. He thinks this is a go. Vegas Dave thinks this is a go.
Hot naked girls doing yoga.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to dupe us.
Please.
Please don't dupe us.
I've finally gotten rid of Brian. I identified him as the dead weight that was holding this show back. I said, enough with the Sims, enough with the math, enough with the algorithms. Why don't we just play the best plays? Why don't we look deep inside our guts? No, Brian will be here in a second. He said he was running a few minutes late, but I know how antsy you guys get when I don't start on time. Do I have some hot sauce on my cheek, or is this a zit? I think that's a zit. All right, it's a zit. It's a zit, folks. That's right. We do a little gut feeling. GM afternoons. I'm just kidding, Eric. Don't worry. Your beloved Bric, Big Dick Bric, will be here in a second. GM Star Kindler, GM. Hot sauce with ramen noodles or bomb. I basically have the same lunch every day because I like it and because I'm unimaginative when it comes to food. I make a salad with chicken and salsa and Cholula and some tomatoes and avocado, maybe a little cheese, throw it into a bowl, put a little olive oil on it, mix it up. Sometimes if I'm feeling spicy, I will crunch up some tortilla tips, sprinkle those on, a little fiesta salad, easy game. That's my lunch. There, I just revealed a lot about me and my personal habits. DJ, you are our foremost best ball hockey thought leader, asking me, have I hit up an NHL best puck draft yet? DJ, I'm going to be completely honest with you, buddy. I'm drowning over here. I'm very busy. I can barely keep up with all my tasks relating to fantasy football. I need people like you carrying the proverbial hockey torch for Underdog. We should get you on here on the show, though, one of these days to do a hockey draft. But I'm just like, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to say I'm going to hop in a hockey draft soon. I just need to be fucking straight with you, DJ. I don't have time to play hockey, but I want people to check it out. I know you're doing some live streams. If you guys are in the Discord, check out the Hockey Bros channel. DJ is your preeminent best ball hockey thought leader. Yeah, Andrew, for sure. Cholula over Tabasco, definitely. Black beans, if I have them, they're not part of my core ingredients. When bulking season, I'm not a bulker, man. I just like trying to say trim. Salsa and salad. Yeah, so you do a combo. I do salsa and then olive oil, so I get a little bit of texture in there. Do I order it from Chili's? No. Although I have, when was the last time I went to Chili's? I went to Chili's when I was in Tahoe last January. I love Chili's. I used to go to Chili's in high school. We would have our study hall break and I would go there and my friends and I would bring our own poker chips to a Chili's and we would play poker while eating bottomless chips at Chili's. Brian, you're interrupting a great kind of just one-on-one vamp that I have going with the chat right now.
Wow. Look at you. Yeah, I was back-to-back meetings. I had a lulls. I'm sorry, Takecast I was doing too. So
wait, so we blame Davis for you running late? God, Davis.
It was Davis.
Look at that. I baited Big T into turning on the stream because I mentioned Bengals D in my tweet.
We talked about that in the Takecast too.
I got
What did you say? Give me up to date. What
I haven't even talked. I said in my tweet, I said we're going to talk about Bengals D. I haven't talked about Bengals D. I've been talking about the salad I make for lunch each day.
What do you want? Do you want to talk about Bengals D for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about the Bengals D. Big T went full Holka with a tweet thread about it. People were talking about it in the Lulz channel, in the Discord, and you even, I think maybe to the surprise of some people, were not anti Bengals D and GPPs as a blanket heuristic, I believe was the term we were tossing around.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, how do you come to your decisions?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, you could just be a tape bro. You watch a ton of sports and you know some tricks, right? Like, oh, I don't want so many dupes or whatever. Maybe, I don't want a ton of chalk ownership, and you could win. But then eventually, for me anyways, because I'm not motivated to do all that research and watch. I'm not as big a sports fan as I was when I was younger. I had to go, a different route, in which obviously is like simulations and comparing and trying to solve this math problem of something specific, like the Bengals are projected at 40% owned. When do you play them? When don't you play them? And so that's how I do it. But if you're not going to do it that way, like I was kind of more or less saying, like, at least Big T has like a logical thought process to where he's drawing his line. I think it's a math problem, and everything else is just like a guess. But like, at least you're coming up with that. Now with the heuristic thing, I love heuristics, but like, you have to have your heuristic based in some math and some evidence. So like, if you did, I'm just making this up, but like if you had like 100 slates of defenses that are like 40% owned or higher, and like what was their ROI over 100 slates in the Millie Maker or something like that, and let's say it was negative, then you could say heuristically, I think you should always fade that. Although the Sims might say sometimes you should play this specific lineup in this specific scenario, which is more or less what I was trying to get at, is like, sometimes you're going to be over the chalk and sometimes you're going to be under the chalk. And since I always advocate on this show, like, if you're always under or always over, you're probably doing something wrong. You should have like a little more of like, sometimes you're over on the chalk. Like, it's easy to get, one dupe. You just make the shittiest lineup possible, right? That no one's ever going to play and has no chance to win.
Trust me, I've done it.
We've done it on this show. So like, it's easy to be super contrarian. It's hard to make a really good lineup that like improves your chances of winning through combinations and roster construction and stuff like that. So like, I don't know. I wasn't really pushing back or anything. I was just more or less saying, like, in my book, all this stuff's a math problem. And like, I think a lot of this other stuff's like astrology. Like, you're just putting a lot of your own whatever rationalizations on top of it. But like, if you're not going to do it through a math problem, like, then you got to do it some way. And so like, at least he's like listing out his logic.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd say isn't like, it is a math problem, but isn't it a math problem that we have a lot of data on, that the kind of like the R squared on ownership for defense and actual points is there's like no correlation there, that we're just very bad in general at identifying the best defensive plays, where it's like, where we talk about running back, like sometimes I just have to suck it up and play David Montgomery in DFS because he's projecting so well. And we're actually pretty good at projecting running back points.
I think the one that comes to mind for me is like backup point guard in the NBA who starts for like a stud who goes down, and you're like, sure, he's going to get 30 minutes. Like, that R is going to be huge. And it's like so hard to fade that $3,000 backup point guard. He's going to get all these minutes. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you. And so like, by the way, another thing I wasn't saying is like, it might've been a gigantic mistake to play the Bengals. And everything, all the evidence might say that. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I would say it's these type of questions in general of like, when do I, in week one, Pittman, right, was probably a good play, even with that high ownership, although you'd have to measure it somehow still. And defenses, it might be you need a way higher threshold because the R is so low. And maybe there isn't a threshold, Pete. You know what I'm saying? But like, you still have to measure it one way or another. And the games are getting tough, man. So like, I would say like, figure out a way to measure it. Use a site that measures it for you, or know someone who knows how to measure it and ask them. But I'd say I still think it's a math problem.
Yeah, and I would say the only other thing that was unique about the Bengals D situation is they were playing in the late games. And so we had a ton of information, and the fact that you flip over the ownership there and it's like if you were, I don't know, let's even just be generous and say you were in the top 10% of your tournaments heading into the late slate and you could say I want to play the best plays, I want to protect my lead or whatever. But when they come in at 40%, we immediately know 30% of the field is already behind and your best path to first place is probably not playing a 40% owned defense. And just at least that should highlight that not enough people swapped off. There were certain people, I'm sure it made sense to ride that defense heading into it. But there was enough people who I do think made a tactical mistake just based on pure numbers there.
That's a good point too. Yeah. And I would say that's almost like even, just like secondarily too, besides a math problem that you solve before any slates, is that late swappability. They were a 3:00 game, right?
Yeah. 4:00
Bengals?
for the only legitimate time zone, but yeah.
Yeah. That's not real America.
I need a clip of Brian. That's not real America. Keep going.
Insult 30% of the population. But yeah, like I said too, like that makes sense. And like I was so dead after like the third quarter of that Dolphins game. I should have just deleted the rest of my lineups. I got smashed.
Did you have any Tua?
I had some, not enough, man. Way too much Carr. That game was kind of weird, but
yeah.
I still had my week one stuff. That my NFL sim was my weakest sim, and we've spent a lot of time on it the last week. So hopefully this coming up is better. And maybe it was just like I said. And this is another problem too, like that you could insult me on is like my math sucks. You know what I mean? Maybe my sims suck. It's entirely possible, and there's still some guessing going on how to measure all this stuff too. So like even that stuff is subjective, which Alex has said on our show or elsewhere, that like, hey, even sim bros are being subjective to some extent. And so I was like, yeah, it's true.
What I think I've asked you this before, but not this year. How much late swapping are you doing in your 150 sets on a regular NFL Sunday?
Not enough, not a lot, not like NBA where like, if I can, I'm going to do it every game. And it's because the coding's so hard. But I wanted to do it this year, but I still haven't. I've been just behind. So
you do feel like in your perfect world, you would have that set up. And so you're kind of admittedly maybe giving up some EV on those lineups.
Yep. And it shows in my NFL and DK the first 2 weeks. And I guarantee some of these guys got something in place for that.
Yeah. What would be like, are there any kind of, here we go again, heuristics or things you'd be looking to do to optimize lineups after getting that 1 p.m. information?
Oh God. I mean, the heuristic, again, I like heuristics that are based off of evidence. So like, I'd have to see some evidence to make it a heuristic, but like, I just agree with the general thought process that you guys are usually talking about, like you did with Bengals there, where it's like, if you're down, switch off chalk. If you're up, stick with chalk. But it's the same thing, Pete, where you got to measure it. In some weeks, it's probably like, kind of stick with it, even though it looks bad right now,
Well, that's what I'm trying to even figure out how, because it like I can look at late swaps for a couple of lineups and I feel like make good. And I go into my spreadsheet and I look at my ceiling projection and projected ownership and see how much am I giving up. And I can, I have some things that I can do and look at 2v2s, 3v3s. I don't even know where I would start with a 150 max set where I do feel like you have to take each lineup in context. I assume you would be needing to look at projected ownership for the rest of your lineup relative to your chances of getting first place. I mean, I'm sure you could crack that code, but I'm not smart enough to know how you would balance that for a 150 set.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone is, because like you can't hold this many interactions in your head. I like, at least I don't believe. So like you would have to import all your stuff into some sort of larger process that would measure all those and all those interactions, and then spit out something that's like, okay, it's time to get rid of the Bengals D now. Your team sucked too much. Or it's just like, no, you're sitting pretty. so stick with it. Like, I don't know, man. Like in the MLB, there'll be like occasionally there'll be a couple lineups that just don't get released. And so you have to sit there until they get released after lock. And like you just go through and try to like redo the stacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I got to get rid of it. Okay, how can I make a stack work? But I'm not measuring anything, right? Like I'm just because it's not worth it. There's probably only like five lineups or something I got to change. Sometimes it can be bad, but this year's been pretty good. And so like I'm just like going through by hand and going like, okay, now I need to put this stack in. Okay, the salary doesn't work, so I got to get rid of Ohtani because he's too much, and I need to fit these stacks in. And it's just that heuristic of I know stacks are good, and I'm not gonna build a whole process to adjust for 5 lineups. So I'm just gonna edit by hand.
So I think what I'm hearing, Brian, and you're doing a great, I think, campaign speech to get more people into the DFS streets, because a lot of people want to just say DFS is solved by the sim bros. You can't compete with them. And Brian is on here admitting to giving up a little EV leak in his late swap game. Brian, what I'm hearing is come on in.
Come on in,
The
guys.
water's warm.
I'm just a simple middle real America man here. I don't know what's good and bad, all these numbers. The first thing Davis says to me on the Takecast today is NFL Showdown's dead. Speaking of, and I'm like,
how did he come to that conclusion?
Because he can't beat it. If Davis can't beat it, it's dead. Which actually might not be might be accurate, might not be accurate. But I think there's still some money to be made in showdowns. And yeah. I think like there's some overreactions. Like he told me he saw like his argument for why it's dead is there was 9 Drew Lock lineups in the Millie Maker or whatever tournament. And he's like, there should only be like 1 or 2, not 9. And I'm like, well,
Big T should only have, or not Big T, Siege should only have 1 or 2 lineups.
Right. Siege and then maybe somebody copying Siege.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, like, don't you want them to make a ton of Drew Lock lineups now? Like, isn't even so like they could overreact and now everyone could be trying to do one dupe and they're fucking you up because they don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, I think you just don't want a lot of good 150ers. That's the barometer I'm always looking at when I go back and look is like, okay, how many 150 guys out of it? How many are good? Like how many are like names I don't recognize who seem like they're getting pretty good? Like that I don't want. But like guys, these astrology bros who are just, writing up these soliloquies on like, oh, he was born on the 7th and he, and he, he's really good at catching against this backup cornerback who's, going to get playing time because the coach said this. It's like, okay, all right, come on in.
All right, can you help me with the Venn diagram? Are all hand builders astrology bros, or is there a difference between those groups?
It depends on how much data they use. So like you could use, I guess, we have a tool that does data that overlays data for hand builder bros, but like, yeah, I would say the majority of hand builder bros are astrology bros.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Especially in Showdown, because you have to do this. Okay, well, if the defense picks the ball off twice and runs it back, and then the QB got picked off twice, but he's going to also throw 3 touchdowns to Steven Diggs, but only Steven Diggs can't throw it to the tight end. Then I could play him, and then you have to justify all these crazy scenarios to hand build some like Showdown lineup that's only gonna get duped 2 times.
So you're telling it, Brian, because I've always told everyone your lineups need to tell a story, and you're saying that your lineups don't need to tell a story.
That's all astrology is, Pete. It's a story based on.
There you go. Blender says I always build my lineups based on the phase of the moon. Big leak. If you don't, yeah, this is the thing. Who's going to be the first site to actually tie in astrological signs with DFS play? I mean, it is a huge sub industry there that I think has direct crossover with DFS play here.
Oh,
Den says you're down bad because NFL DFS is more hand in the dirt. Den sounds like an astrology bro here.
Hey, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Pete, what's your sign?
My sign, I'm a Gemini, bro.
Gemini?
And not just the exchange where I hold my crypto.
I don't know. I get how many times I told you, don't tell people you hold your money, Pete.
Oh, why? Because I'm not a true Bitcoin bro.
No, because you don't want people trying
Not
to
your
hack you.
keys, not your crypto.
Okay, well, here's what it says for you, Pete. It's true that you reap what you sow. Gemini, you're in for a great harvest. Congratulations.
Ooh, as a
you're-
farmer, you love to hear that.
Wow, yeah, this astrology stuff
is
actually is real. Pete.
This is
Your
real.
hard work and focus will start to pay off handsomely with promotions and raises just when you may have given up on being acknowledged for all you do. Hang on to your great energy, passion, and enthusiasms. Doors are open. Doors are about to open for you. Get ready to walk through them, Pete.
Holy cow, Brian. I feel like that really resonated with me right there.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I wasn't saying astrology bros are bad. I mean,
no, yeah, if anything. I mean, I've read a lot of Showdown articles and nothing has pumped me up in the way that astrology reading just did. That's what I need to get the mindset.
all you have to do is copy and paste those and just put in like David Montgomery here and there, and you're done with your article for the week, Pete.
Oh man, I'm the Bears right now, I'm bracing for. It seems like they're going to run a 1920s offense where they give David Montgomery the ball 40 times. My full fade bit, Brian, that might not work out.
They're so bad, Pete. I think you're going to be fine. That he did have some nice runs, you have to admit, in that last game. Did you watch it at all?
I did. Yeah, he did look pretty good. He looked
good. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to be safe. What is it? A record low pass completions in the first 2 weeks for Justin Fields.
Have you been sweating it as the world's biggest Bears fan?
Yeah, it really breaks me up inside. I can't watch live football. Like, I do now is I have 2 TVs, so I put it on mute on the other one and then watch something I actually listen to on the other. I can't listen to those commercials or the sideline reporters or the halftime updates like Terry Bradshaw. Like, oh.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed Monday night because you could do your own mini red zone with the 2 games going on concurrently. So it was like anytime one of the games was at commercial, you could get back to the other. I was like, actually, this isn't too bad. But it is the solo island games. Like tonight's going to be miserable. No one can sit through that. No, you can't.
I'm putting it on the side, and then I'll swap my lineups and then go, okay, I'll need Montgomery to score. Wait, who's playing? Cleveland's playing who tonight?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay. Whoever. Chubb. I need Chubb to score. And like, okay, he didn't score. Fuck this. Then I'll go back to watching whatever I want.
Paul says, even as a Steelers fan, I don't want to watch it. 38.5 point over under Mitch Trubisky versus Jacoby Brissett. I mean,
we've been saying this for years, Pete. They got the new idea that me and you wanted to do. What is that service, Pete? Get
playback. Yeah.
Get playback. Like they've just kept the same model for so long. It's so stale and it's like unwatchable. They didn't have enough competition or something, but like they could have had some awesome new additions with all this technology to these broadcasts, but it's the same recipe and it's so boring and I can't do it. And then they hire these ex-NFL guys who are so boring. It's like I would much rather listen to somebody interesting and funny than some guy who just ran for 1,000 yards a couple times. It's like, I don't care.
They're getting warmer. I didn't notice it, but someone said with the Thursday Night Football Amazon Prime that there was an alternate cast that was just the all 22 angle so the film bros could at least watch, the plays developing from the all 22 angle. So it's like they're getting closer. They have the Manning cast, they have the all 22, but now we just need like a robust set of options to where you can truly hand select what you want.
I agree with you, Manning cast too. And I heard this, I don't know if this is true, maybe you guys could tell me, that you could have watched those games on a split screen channel on Monday.
Ooh, I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I heard a podcast today, someone saying that it was on split screen. I'm like, oh shit, what channel is that? And I'm assuming I have it wherever they were doing that. So like that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, and I would definitely do 2 in a split cast, but part of my problem too, when it gets to be more of that, like even why I don't enjoy a Sunday sportsbook experience is because like having your head on a swivel and knowing which game to watch actually isn't that enjoyable. I would prefer to have Red Zone tee
Tell you.
things up for me.
Yep. I like doing. Sorry, I know you said, but red zone on this one, and then that one is my sweating lineup. Like,
yeah. Whichever team you have the most investment in watching that.
Yep.
Yeah, that is ideal for sure. Yeah, people definitely liking that alternate cast there. I think, yeah, that's the future. You go to a menu, you get to pick your 3 to 4 view angles. You could have the all 22. What do you want? You want a fucking satellite bird's eye view? Go for it. And then you get to pick your audio feed as well. And you basically get to Frankenstein together your ideal broadcast.
Yep. That would be awesome.
Let's see. So I definitely want to build a showdown lineup tonight. Is there anything else though that has been? Wait, you sent me a link to something, and I didn't even watch it. It was a Twitter video.
I saw this on a podcast of this guy. He's on Twitter and he does like some of his other ones weren't that funny, but he has like a broadcaster voice, and then he does like little bits. Yeah, this has audio on it.
You gotta let me focus here with the driver on 13. A deer is sucking off another deer in the background. It does not phase him as he ripped that down the middle. That's about 315. You gotta let me here with the driver on 13. A deer is sucking off another deer in the background. It does not phase him. As he ripped that down the middle. That's about 315. You gotta love the focus here with the driver on 13. A deer is sucking off another deer in the background. It does not phase him as he rips that down the middle. That's
it's the pause right before deer to sucking off that really gets me on that one.
Not phase him. And there actually is, for people listening to this, there's some reason a deer sucking up another deer.
I feel like, yeah, they want add this to the intro. I do feel like if we tried to recapture our clickbait, we had hot naked yoga, ended up being one of the most watched Lulz videos ever. Deer sucking each other off in the Lulz title. I don't know if I have the stones for that title, Brian.
I don't know if that would bring them in, but
yeah, exactly. Sometimes we forget about the audio listeners here on this show. I would like to say, highly recommend watching the video version. Come watch on YouTube so you can see it. But is that Bob Menery? Yeah, Bob Menery there doing that well for us. For the podcast listeners, a deer was sucking off another deer. Yes, exactly. Absolutely incredible. I like that, Brian. I mean, if it's like, when my mom sends me a funny, viral video, she sees these are the ones that you sent me.
Yeah, of course. I'm assuming we have a slightly different taste in what's funny.
Yeah, my mom is going through a big.
The guy's voice is so good.
It is really good. It's a great bit. All right. Was there anything else on your radar? Any other topics of conversation in the DFS and in gambling world before we dive into some lineups?
No, I don't think so.
When you mentioned like before, are you? It sounds like in a perfect world, you wish you had like a couple weeks to just kind of overhaul your NFL system, basically.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah, and it shouldn't be as bad as it was. So like, there's some bugs, I think, and this is just obviously back end stuff no one knows about or cares about. But like, yeah, something seems off for my Sims, and some of them are better than others. Like I've had a really good baseball season, but football last year was pretty brutal too. Yeah, I lost on Yahoo too, which really pisses me off. Usually can win on there.
Is Yahoo? Can you feel it getting noticeably harder?
We'll see. I'll give it another week, but it's definitely harder than it was 2 years ago. Two plus years ago, it was pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
The problem with the cash games is once you get enough cash game bros, so like I enter everything on there, and so it's like there's only 6 guys playing the 1,000, right? So it's like the 1,000 50-50. So you add 2 more good guys there. It's like, okay, well, I guess now there's no more edge, right? So, I really don't want the cash games to drop on Yahoo. Those were juicy.
Yeah. Well, how much of it? I mean, clearly, if you're, where is the line for you where you're like, I know my process could be better. I think I could be building better lineups, but clearly you still think you have an edge to be blasting off and not being like, hey, I should just take a couple weeks off and get this up and running to a place I feel good about.
Well, not in the beginning of the season, I'm willing to rip because like there's just so much. We know this historically up until like week 4 or 5 or something. You get just a lot of casual sports fans trying out DFS and they don't know what they're doing, and so I'm taking more chances than I would have. So like after about week 4 or 5 now, I'm going to reevaluate, and now that I've done a whole bunch of work, I'll probably just keep hammering it for even after that. But normally I would then go like, okay, I'm just going to play less, or oh no, I'm going to play more.
Yeah. Well, the thing, Ricky says a couple of weeks off. Here's the thing. Brian is a professional DFS player who plays sports year round. He's not a casual wreck like most of us just who aren't going to miss out on a Sunday of NFL action. But I think it would probably be justified for Brian's long-term EV if he needed to take a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, I didn't, but you can definitely argue that. I didn't play the President's Cup today, the golf, because it was captain, and there was no captain PGA. They did one once before, like years ago. I could be wrong, but like I don't have anything set up for captain PGA, so I just didn't play. So there you go. I do have some restraint. I
saw I don't think you were alone because I saw Dan Bach tweet out a screenshot to DraftKings saying there's going to be a bunch of overlay in those contests. So I assume a lot of people were in the same boat as you of not wanting to figure that out.
There was like a couple thousand entries with 2 hours to go. So I doubt it ended up being that bad. But I couldn't go back and look because I had a meeting earlier and then take gas in this. So I didn't look and see how it finished. Yeah. But I doubt it was that crazy overlay.
Yeah. All right, let's talk through a little bit of Showdown tonight. Have you started looking at anything for tonight?
No, I just updated that sheet for you, and that's as far as I got.
Yeah. This one tonight will obviously be interesting with, I assume the field and the astrology bros are going to like the idea of putting in 2 defenses in their lineups at a pretty good clip. Would just be my astrology bro guess.
I'll be interesting to see what mine says. I'm guessing on a night like this, it's going to be Trubisky. They're going to, just because it's Trubisky, no one's going to play him.
Yeah.
And Sims generally like that stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at the run the Sims ones too. Mitch Trubisky has a good leverage rate, as does Brissett. It doesn't seem like anyone wants to click either of these quarterbacks, whereas the defenses look like they're getting overowned. Cleveland minus 15%, flex optimal rate versus ownership. And then what are the Steelers? Also minus 8%. So the field is definitely jamming defenses and not wanting to pay up for these quarterbacks.
Yeah, which, I mean, man, I wonder how high. They might get higher than that. These are some pretty bad. It's Brissett and Trubisky, right?
Yeah, and I mean 38.5 point total. I mean, it's the 17 implied points for the Steelers, 21.5 implied points for the Browns.
So the kickers are going to be higher on too.
Yeah. Yeah, the run the Sims have been definitely higher on kickers than market so far this year. I have noticed that. Yeah, I'm seeing like the highest optimal rate captains are Chubb, followed by Brissett, followed by Deontay Johnson, followed by Amari Cooper. Those are your top 4. But it seems like the field is, they're going to jam Nick Chubb, and then Browns D, I think, are. It said we have projected ownership Najee Harris 16%, but it doesn't feel like anyone wants to captain Najee Harris these days.
Yeah, he doesn't look that good.
No, he does not. All right, let's see. Maybe we'll get a little crowdsource, opinions here from the chat. See if we can build a gross one. I feel like the one we built last week was, I don't know if it ended up cashing. It was looking good for a while though.
Yeah, it was. I think Was it the Sky Moore week or was that a different one?
It was the Sky Moore one.
He was our week link, I think.
As expected. As expected.
Actually, as not as expected, Pete, because I drafted him.
Oh, were there maybe a basket of influencers whose exposures were maybe pulling you in that direction?
Sky Moore was a good pick.
Well, now Andy Reid is promising us more Sky Moore usage, so there it is.
Okay, so we have projection, captain ownership, flex ownership.
Yep. Projection green.
That minimize button should be there if you click go down. I don't know why it's not. Yeah, it's like hidden or something. You gotta hit it twice.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we have Bric's draft caddy is now also up and running here for DFS stuff. So anything that you want to add here, we have projections in ownership. Just makes it nice for when you're hand building here. So you don't have to go full astrology. You can actually look at some concrete numbers while you're building a lineup.
Yeah, and I think, and this is ETR and stochastics numbers averaged, and I put a template on if you have the app and go to that template page, you could copy and update, but you need a stochastic or ETR sub to use their data. We do have Run the Sims projections though this week.
Because I still think there are people, and even myself included sometimes, who need a refresher on how to do this. So why don't I just hopped over I did just download the new version, which you can get at bric75.com, hit the Sports Hub tab, and then you can download it. You do there's instructions there. Then you'll get this as your Chrome extension. So what would we do to get the Run the Sims stuff?
Well, you're on the page, but the top right, you click DFS, and then that any of those columns, you just click them. And unfortunately on StreamYard, it doesn't show the drop-down menu.
Yeah.
But the Run the Sims projections, that's season long. So if you're doing best ball season long drafts, you use that one. But there's also Run the Sims point per game on there that you select. And then if you go back to the other page, it should show right on the DraftKings site. And we're going to put more Run the Sims info on there, like ownership projections and stuff like that. But right now we just have the projections.
Yeah. Let me see it. Did it catch here?
Yeah, you might need to refresh it.
Yeah, because I think that's when it's going to be really cool too, when you can see, and I know you guys are working on getting like a sum ownership or even maybe a product ownership at the end would be cool.
Yeah. Did you put the point per game on there?
I thought I did. Let me go back.
It might take a second to grab their information when you go from the API. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. We'll head back over there now. But yeah, that's going to be really, really handy. What other kind of things are you thinking about? Are you about adding here?
Yeah, like some ownership, some product ownership, all those things. The DFS is in beta, as you can see. I don't know why it's not uploading so fast, but it was working earlier. And then I want to do like a little dupe calculator, I think, too, for showdowns in MMA, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are using it for MMA, so that might not be worth it. But that could be useful for hand builders.
It really would be too, because I know like a lot of people will, on Run the Sims, you can spit out your custom lineups. It'll show you, frequency. So this top lineup's appearing 13 times in the 10,000 simulations. And you do have the product own here, but it's a little bit of guesswork relative to your contest size that you're playing in to know how often do we expect. Obviously, a product own at 321, we expect that to be duped, but it's still going to all be relative to your contest size. So I think that would be super valuable, even if people are hand putting in some of these lineups, to then have that kind of sanity check on how duplicated we think that is.
Yeah. And it won't be like dead on accurate to like my stuff I used, because it's just too complicated to put on a little app like that, but it should lead you in the right direction. And I don't know, did it work on there? Is that to run the Sims
Yeah.
project? So if you just start picking a couple players,
Yeah.
you can see you need one more player, I think. Oh no, that works. You can see it starts summing the totals.
Yep.
But it's only for API data right now, but eventually it'll be just whatever you upload to. It'll sum all anything you put in there, it'll sum it for you.
All right. So we're not going to fish it up with the Nick Chubb captain here. I mean, I kind of like Brissett, looks kind of interesting to me. Maybe one of these under the radar Steelers receivers that everyone's off now, Chase Claypool or George Pickens. Anything strike your fancy there?
I mean, I'm always down for a Trubisky lineup, but
wow. Maybe I should hedge because I'm on the record as saying tonight is Mitch Trubisky's final game as starting quarterback. The Kenny Pickett takeover begins next week. Is this how I hedge that? Brian, I guess I haven't been looking I don't play the Millionaire Maker normally. I mean, is this what these all are? $1 million to first, 100,000 to second?
Yeah, not all of them, but pretty close. It's not that bad for Showdown because you really want to take first and like you're gonna dupe a decent amount of the time, no matter because you have to put in some good lineups that are gonna dupe, and so like you're splitting a bunch of ways anyways,
right?
And they want, and it also I think it's kind of good for the noobs because they'll like take first and win $1,800 and be like, oh, I took first in $1 million. It's like, yeah, you just split with 800 people. But like,
right.
If it wasn't $1 million to first, they would actually like lose money on their entry fees. So like it keeps them coming back and giving us an edge.
Brian, I just want you to know, I mean, this is the show that coined the phrase, don't dupe me, bro. And what I'm hearing here is full dupe capitulation. You're basically just saying, I'm going to be duped. It's inevitable, but I'm splitting $1 million, so it's fine.
I'm saying you don't want to be duped, but people are going to dupe you, and it's their fault, not yours, not ours, Pete. So if they do dupe you, it's better to have all that money up top.
Are you using your selection on Mitch Trubisky captain? Is that the Brian play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
If I'm getting captain,
I'm giving it to you. I don't like it, but I'm giving it to you. I'm going to go ahead and put Chase Claypool in there. If we're doing Trubisky, we're going to need to see some of his pass catchers step up big. Why not Chase Claypool? Back to you.
You could really see with this HUD numbers, like how many of these guys are just immediately useless.
Dust balls. Yeah. The points fall off a cliff after this QB wall right here.
Yeah, that is the QBs that are in the way. So who do we like down here? I kind of like Peoples Jones because he's done like squat, right?
Yeah. Well, he had that. He had a big first game.
Okay, but I think he got like 0 last week, didn't he?
He had 11 targets week 1 and then 1 target in no action last week. So we'll go the all.
Well, I forgot about the 11 week one, so maybe he'll be owned fine, but I don't know. I'm just thinking we fade D, right?
Yes, I think we fade D is definitely the sharp play. Donovan Peoples-Jones looked good in the run the Sims rates relative to his projected ownership. I think that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, and based off of your Gemini astrology read today, Pete, I think you should get the extra pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you. I am scrolling through. What's that?
The doors are opening. You just need to go through them.
Okay. All right. I am looking at the spit out lineups from the simulator, and almost basically every single one in the top, I had to scroll all the way down, like 40 are either 1-5s or 4-2s. So not seeing a ton of 3-3s, and considering the field likes to play 3-3s generally at a higher clip, I think we can definitely push toward a bit of an onslaught. I guess I do think it'd probably be contrarian, right? With the Browns as favorites, if we were to set up like a 5-1 Steelers, would
Yeah.
probably be pretty interesting.
I like that. Yeah. I don't like, you could also go like 2-4 here at this point, probably, and just hope Trubisky runs a couple in, throws one to Claypool. But
Yeah. Let's
as I astrology bro it up.
when I look at a lot of these top, if I filter for Mitch Trubisky captain lineups, I am seeing a decent amount of the Chris Boswell there.
Okay.
We'll throw in a little kicker here, and I'll
Real
let
exciting.
you know, sometimes you just play the best plays.
I mean, Fryermuth's kind of obvious play. What, could you go down?
Yeah. You got. Yeah. So the other, I mean, let's look at the other.
Your guy, Warren.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe that's the Galaxy brain play.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I do too. Because I assume everyone who's trying to save money on Steelers is going to play Pickens, and no one's going to play Warren.
Yeah. And we don't have a running back either, right?
No, and we're trying to win $1 million, and I don't want to be duped.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
I'll go.
So we're going to kind of semi-siege this with the backup running back here. Maybe the Liz Frank injury flares up and Najee bows out after a drive, and we ship it.
Works for me.
Brian, I'm starting to think we have a decent amount of salary here. I'm starting to think we could maybe play whoever we want.
Okay, let's be frugal. I mean,
we could probably eat the Deontay Johnson if we're leaving $9K on the.
Yeah, we might actually have to reconsider some of these players. Like with Johnson in there, that might be a little crazy. You might want to get rid of Boswell and just put in Fryermuth or Harris.
Do you think this is okay? So we just full on onslaught it
with 6,000 left in salary, though.
With 6,000 left in salary, and I know our audience, and they're trustworthy. They're largely astrology bros. They would never dupe us, right?
I hope not, although they have in the past.
Yeah. Is this a leave 10K salary on the table? Look, our goal here, guys, is not to make you money. It's to build the grossest lineup possible that you guys don't want to dupe, that gives us a chance at a solo ship. Because, Brian, I can't think of anything that would be worse for the Lulz brand than us shipping the Millie 146 ways. That would be disastrous for us.
Yeah, that would suck. The lineups we make are so gross. I don't think there's any chance of that ever happening. I'm imagining someone's going to copy this and then take out Peoples-Jones and just put in whoever on Cleveland.
I have a feeling people are going to copy this, swap out all the bad plays, and just put in good plays. I think
they might not even watch the show and do that.
Yeah. Adam, wind's supposed to be 20 plus, right? Hey, exactly. Shout it from the mountaintops. You can't onslaught the Steelers passing game because of 20-mile-per-hour wind gusts. No one should have this lineup. It is reckless. Some might even say egregious.
Do you remember my one of the worst ideas I've ever had, and there's been a lot of them during our League of Legends days, where it was duping so much and there was just like nothing you could do because the correlation's so high, that I suggest they just randomize and give the winner to one of us who dupe. Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh,
I remember there were some, that was at the very beginning of the show. And I think a lot of people hadn't been fully introduced to you yet. And there were some people who could not wrap their heads around letting a randomization dictate the winning. Like that offended their sensibility so much.
That tilted up some bros for sure. What? I'm like, good.
Adam apparently was sincerely asking if there's going to be 20 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Do we look like meteorologists? I mean, do we look like Kevin Roth, Adam? Fuck if I know. I haven't looked up the weather.
I have not looked.
What we have looked up is whether the moon is waxing or waning tonight, Brian. That is what we had to do.
The moon is pretty important, it sounds like. I think I need to put that into the Sims.
Add that to the model here. Let me see here, guys. I am going to, we like to do screen shares on here. We like to bring value to you guys. And this is all part of it. September 22nd, Brian, we have a waning crescent tonight a waning crescent, illumination 12%. What does that tell you about Mitch Trubisky's prospects?
That changes everything. It changes
Wow.
everything. Yeah. Too bad you submitted that, but that definitely changes everything. Oh wait, no, maybe that's good for him. Let's see.
It could
here.
be. It could be.
Let's see. He is he was born August 20th. So what is that?
Well, this is what I would say. Wouldn't you be more, because the Mitch Trubisky's career is waning and Pickett is more of a waxing crescent, ready to really grow into his own. Now I'm starting to get really worried about this waning crescent Mitch Trubisky play, because I think it's a metaphor for his career.
Wow. Which, by the way, I don't think he's going to be starting very long. and I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about. He's a Leo, it looks like.
FF Doom says my attention for this show is waning. The numbers say otherwise. We're pulling in an entirely new demographic. We found that this show's audience is capped. It's capped. I mean, there's only so many, astrology/GTO DFS bros. But if we just get full on into the astrology business, I mean, that opens us up to an entire larger demographic.
Naked yoga, astrology, DFS.
And deer sucking each other off.
There's a deer sucking another deer off.
Yeah. Who says there's no edge? Exactly. These are the donkeys that you're playing against. These are the donkeys.
How could you use astrology to pick your lineups?
Maybe we need to bring on. Does anyone know an actual astrologist? I think.
Oh, like those tarot cards or something like that. You could do that.
That is a good bit.
I'm reading the Leo's horoscope for today. You may not have the most restorative sleep in the very early hours today, dear lion, as the moon forms a harsh T-square with Saturn and Uranus. Fuck.
Are you a Leo, Brian?
No, I'm an Aries, but like I said, Trubisky's a Leo.
Trubisky's a Leo.
He's not getting any sleep. There's this harsh T with the moon going on. A foggy energy could take hold of your psyche as Luna forms an unbalanced aspect with hazy Neptune in the afternoon. I don't know, Pete. I'm thinking fade Leos.
Do you think we should go? I think we need to. I think we need to fix this lineup.
I mean, clearly you got to fade a Leo.
You know what? This is what we're gonna do. I would never forgive myself if I went and tweaked off the nut. So we're just gonna have to build a second one real quick.
Huh.
That's the only thing we can do.
Okay.
If I ever missed out on $1 million because of an astrology sign, I would never forgive myself. So we'll simply build another one that's more of a waxing type play.
Well, it sounded like Geminis were a good pick. Good positive pick for today.
Let's see what is Jacoby Brissett, Brian? Jacoby Brissett was born December 11th. What is that?
Let me check.
Ricky.
Sagittarius.
Okay, can I get the reading on that?
Yeah, let's do it. I hope I'm getting those dates right. There's actually people who are into this shit. Okay, don't be surprised. Pete, this is a definite go. Don't be surprised if the money comes from an unlikely source.
Let's go.
It could be a surprisingly good return on investment or a request from a relative. Okay. Pay attention to any dreams that seem to repeat. They may hold a lesson about understanding your life path. You may receive an unexpected visit from a dear friend you haven't heard from in months. All in all, this is a great time. That sounds like a captain to me.
That's a captain right there, baby. Holy cow. I have never felt better about a pivot off of Mitch Trubisky than getting Jacoby Brissett in here.
Yeah, I might have to dupe this lineup myself. Fuck. So far, so good.
You might. All right, let's round this lineup out then here.
Okay.
You know what? If Jacoby's balling out, I mean, what? Amari had like 30%.
Now they all benefit from his sign.
It really does all fall. Who do you want in here with our guy Jacoby?
Well, here we do have to be careful because this is the favorite side. So we don't want too much chalk.
You're right.
What about Hunt and no
Kareem
Chubb?
Hunt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that play.
Okay.
Chubb ran more routes than Kareem Hunt last week. That felt more like an anomaly, like there was a disturbance in the skies, and I think that corrects with a waxing Kareem Hunt play.
Who's our pit guy? Can't be Trubisky, obviously.
Can we check? Because if I kind of want to put him in both lineups, but I need you to check on Chase Claypool's sign for me. So he was born July 7th. July 7th.
Do we know what that is? Anyone? July 7th.
It's after Gemini.
July 7th sign is Cancer.
Cancer. Okay. Let's see
I
how
got
Cancer.
it right here. So for today, it is you're highly esteemed in your profession because of your strong business acumen and no nonsense approach to problem solving. Recent successes, has he had recent successes? Recent successes may be preparing you for the next step in the progression. Be open to opportunities like scoring touchdowns. Oh, I didn't say that part, but involving the internet that may present themselves. Remember, there's no glass ceiling online. Today may be peppered with all sorts of communications from friends.
Do you know what a glass ceiling? A glass ceiling to me sounds like if you're only going to use Chase Claypool as a receiver. That is what society has pigeonholed him in. And yet we've seen Tomlin hint at shattering this glass ceiling, treating him as a running back, giving him 5 carries in week 1. The ceiling is the roof for Chase Claypool. He could break it if he gets all of Najee's carries plus his traditional receptions, Brian. I think this sign points to a Chase Claypool play.
Okay. I mean, he's highly esteemed in his profession, according to this horoscope. So
he's also fabulous on TikTok. That profession could be referring to his social media prowess as well.
Do we want to do a 4-2 or a 5-1?
I say we go with full invert it because we got so spooked on our 5-1 Steelers onslaught because of the astrology signs. I think we have to lean into this Cleveland onslaught.
Okay. Well, since Brissett is the clear horoscope goat, we probably need to catch another pass catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, he could run a couple in. But.
I'm kind of interested in Harrison Bryant here. I'm just worried about the juju and the vibes coming out of David Njoku. Can I get an April 23rd reading on Harrison Bryant? Yeah. What is April 23rd here?
Wait, no, when is my birthday? I think
that's a Taurus, a Ford Taurus.
It's April 23rd. Is it Taurus?
Yeah.
Okay. Taurus is. Did you forget to take 2 aspirin before you fell into bed last night? ? This morning you may feel in a fog. I don't know, Pete, but it should lift around mid. Well, hold on. It should lift around midday. So there's time. You could be surprised by some heartening news from a friend or relative regarding a difficult situation that is now being resolved. Enjoy the boost of energy that is good news given to you. Okay.
So, I mean, that
could pick up near game time.
We are talking about a guy who is priced at 4,600. So it makes sense that he'd have a little bit of a fog midday. It takes a while for this play to really reveal itself.
Right. By game time, if you get some good news, he could be, ready to kick some field goals.
Okay. This leaves us with 9K. We definitely want to leave some salary on the table. So I think we're going to be down in this range. I mean, do we double up on DPJ? I mean, do we think, let me look up his birthday if we're going to put him in both these lineups. We have a February 19th, which I believe.
That's probably Aries. I don't know, though.
Let's see. February 19th is going to be Aquarius. Or no, just on the bubble. Just on the bubble. He's a Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Pisces. Yes.
The time is right. You're sure? Yeah. Are you really in astrology, bro? I don't know, man. The time is right to pursue training for a particular skill or finish a degree in
Like
a
catching
field
the ball.
Presently, great success and good fortune are indicated when you assert your considerable energy and focus on the subject matter. If you've been considering honing your communication skills, consider a writing course. Perhaps you want to organize a long-desired trip.
A long desired trip to the end zone, I would
or
say,
maybe
Brian.
to the Pro Bowl.
To the Pro Bowl. And I like how it hinted that this individual has had success in the past, like in week 1, and is maybe trying to regain that form that they recently lost.
And we did take him in the other lineup, though.
We did. We have double Claypool and double DPJ, but only because the signs told us that we had their blessing.
I just want to read Joku's really quick. What's his?
Yeah.
Let's get his birthday, just in case. See if we
Just-
because we got
okay.
double tight end. No one's gonna take that lineup.
Okay, Njoku is born July 10th, which would make him a Cancer.
Cancer too. Okay, well we already
Yeah.
did Cancer. Cancer wasn't that great, anyways, right?
No, I don't think the Cancer one was.
Yeah, Cancer's the one or Cancer was Bryant. So yeah, I don't think that sign's really pointing us. See, this is where an expert in astrology would know the differences here.
Yeah. Yeah. We are trying to make it expensive for you to dupe us here. We do have 2 lineups here, and they will, I think, ultimately determine whether astrology is an actionable, predictable metric for making teams, Brian.
Well, here's the thing: is even if we do lose, it could just be our interpretation that
That's
was
true.
inaccurate. It's probably still right.
I just want to say the bid equity on one of these teams winning the million would just, coupled with this, I mean, we would break fantasy football, Brian. I think I'm going to go on record right now and say if we win the million with one of these lineups and we cut together the video of what preceded these events, that it will have a larger impact on the game of DFS than Chris Moneymaker had on the game of poker. I strongly believe that.
Might be a reach, but
No, I'm telling you, this will blow up. I mean, we'll be going fucking Jimmy Fallon will be having us on to talk
The
about how we
astrology
picked a
moment.
million. Yes, it would.
It's a lot more fun than random.org. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Never forget where you were when astrology became the new
The
dominant
Antonio
side.
Gibson could have used another
That's it.
touchdown last week, by the way.
Yeah, seriously, Antonio. All right, guys. Fun show as always. Audio will be up later. Check out the Bric Sports HUD. You can overlay everything as far as pick'ems, DraftKings. If you're doing any of the underdog drafts, Royales, the resurrections, you can get your ceiling projections in there. I know ETR just released their top 150 rest of the season. If you want to get like season long ranks inside for your best ball drafts rest of season, and feel free to tag us in the Discord if you're having any questions about it. Anything else I'm forgetting, Brian?
No, MMA this weekend, I think. I'll have ownership up. I didn't do any ownership. I didn't even play PGA this week because it was all jacked out with the President's Cup going on. Did I do any podcasts? I don't think I did any podcasts. The Takecast I'll be on the next one if you guys want to check that out. I think that's
like the idea of you listen to the Takecast first, and Davis comes out of off the rip and says Showdown is dead, and then you come to this show and you realize Showdown strategy is alive and well.
or is it confirming? I can't beat these guys. Look at how they're reading these tarot cards.
Yes. All right, guys. As the great DH Lawrence just said, and this is a quote I have memorized and didn't just look up for this outro. We need not feel ashamed of flirting with the Zodiac. The Zodiac is well worth flirting with.